because that is extra important. When we do a contest and we're going to capture the best of the best of the best, we want to make sure that we capture it for a replay later so that we can show people what the best speech was for tonight. So online presenters, as an advanced club, does routinely record its meetings, and we do routinely record, share those video recordings publicly. Now, it's largely for the education of the speaker so they can go back and see how they did, but we also want people to be able to come in and just take a peek at what our meetings are like and why they are so fabulous and why they want to be here in real time rather than just watching the recording. As an international club, we have always tried to say something at the opening, and I don't remember the exact official wording, but it's something about we're an international club. We have people from all cultures, all faiths. Try not to annoy people. Try not to offend people. You know, maybe some people are too easily offended or annoyed, but you know, don't go out of your way. Try and exercise some cultural sensitivity. So I'm going to come back in a moment with my chief judge hat on and talk about the rules of the contest, but why don't I first let Graham open things up. And Graham, I do have a slide to show the speaking order, if you just want me to be the one to announce that.
That would be excellent. I'll do the introduction of you as Chief Judge in just a moment, but thank you, David. Thank you, everybody, and welcome along. Tonight is an unusual meeting for this club. This is, of course, our webinar contest, and it's must be about the 8th iteration of this webinar contest. We've had a number of rounds this year leading up to tonight, and the top 2 winners from the past 3 contests have given the opportunity to face off in the World Championship of Webinar Speaking. Well, World Championship in the same sense that the World Series is the World Series, even though it is only played in America. We don't have a lot of representatives from other clubs here tonight, although we do have a number of guests and judges here from who are not members of this club, and I'm really glad to see that. This is an unofficial contest. The rules of this are, well, they've been outlined to all of our contestants, they all know, but the idea is that we are trying to use this environment, learning how to present webinars effectively in an online-only environment. So that's what will be happening in tonight's contest. We have 4 contestants, and we'll run through the speaking order shortly. We have a chief judge, who you've already heard from tonight, David Carr. We have a timer, Carolina Ramirez. Carolina, can you give us an indication of how you will show the 5, 6, and 7 minute timing lights?
Yes, sure, David. Sorry, Graham. You will have between 5 and 7 minutes for your speech. When you see the green light, it means that you have 2 minutes left. If you see the yellow light, it means that your time will be up soon. If you see the red light, your time is up. And be careful, because after 30 seconds after the red light, you will be disqualified. Back to you, Graham.
Thank you, Carolina. So that's how the timing will work tonight. We have, as I say, 4 speakers. I'll call now on the chief judge to announce the speaking order and run through any rules that the contestants need to know and that we as an audience should be aware of.
Pardon me while I get this in focus here. All right, this will be our speaking order. I actually had a little pound sign next to these, and it looked like we had already determined the winners in advance. This is not true, but we did do a randomized reordering of the contestants for this evening in advance, and this is what came out. We will be hearing first from Sonny Fridge, second from Andriy Smolenko, third from Joni Renee Laidlaw, and fourth from Sherry Blake. And so this is, as Graham said, this is the World Championship. This is the intergalactic championship, in fact, of webinar speaking. Now, we did invite for the earlier rounds people from outside of this club to come visit us and to speak, to try and make it a bigger event, make it a bigger deal. And so there were 2 non-club members who qualified for this event, and they both had schedule conflicts. So it turns out we have club members speaking tonight. But still, to try and set a level playing field, no bias towards particular club members, we have all our judges coming from outside the club. Now, of course, this is a devious plan to lure them here and then try and make them members. But aside from that, it is also a gesture towards fairness. So we're going to follow, in general, the rules of the International Speech Contest, but with some exceptions. Because this is an unofficial contest, we don't have to follow the official rules. We're doing this for fun. We're doing it for the education of our members, and we're doing it to showcase people who have put some effort into learning how to present online and how that is different. The scoring system is different for this than it is for the International Speech Contest. And so the judges will award points for who can create engagement with the audience, because that's a little bit more difficult when you're 1,000 miles away from your audience than it is when you're up on stage. More difficult, or at least it's different. And so we will invite the speakers to find some way of creating engagement. Now, one simple way is by asking people maybe to enter something in the chat. And so we actually do have a chat monitor assigned. Allison is taking that role. She'll be watching the chat, and the speaker has the option of calling on the chat monitor and saying, did any questions come in while I was speaking? That's not the way you have to do it. The speakers have complete latitude to use any technique, whether it's interesting body language, getting right up into the webcam, whether it is some kind of on-screen razzle-dazzle that they want to use, or if they want to use polling software, they can do whatever they want, but I guess we challenge them to demonstrate that they can do it effectively. Whatever technique you can do, it should add to the communication value of the speech. It should add to the overall value of the speech. We do also have some points for having a call to action at the end of your speech, because traditionally, when we talk about a webinar, and this might be practice for an online course or other things, but traditionally a webinar ends with asking people to do something. Buy now, get the free trial, whatever it is. And so there's a few points awarded for that as well. So hopefully you get the idea. Now, our judges are not anonymous. We'll actually ask them to give a little bit of feedback to the speakers at the end. But other than that, we're still asking them to judge equally and fairly. Hopefully you've got the general idea. Any protests in terms of originality or whatever should come to me before the winners are announced. Once the winners are announced, the winners are final. Ooh, serious. I think that's my spiel, Graham. It's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Judge. You know how at the beginning of Toastmaster speech contest, there is always that script that the Toastmaster has to read through, that all competitions are, because I hate all of that. So I'm going to ignore all of that, except the one thing that I really like is in the humorous speech contest, the contest Toastmaster is asked to tell a joke to break the ice. Now, this is not a humorous speech contest, but I heard this the other day and it's too good not to use. So I bought myself 4 large koi for my aquarium. I'm going to call them major, minor, diminished, and harmonic. I'll be able to tell them apart by their scales. Okay. That's out of the way, no more. We have 4 contestants tonight. I'm going to introduce each contestant by announcing their name. Sorry, I'll announce their speech title. Then I will announce their name and ask them, is their microphone on? They will respond by saying yes or something so that we can make sure that their microphone is working. I will then announce their name one more time and the title of their presentation. So does everybody get that? You will be asked to make sure that your microphone is on, contestants. Are we ready to rock and roll? That's the unofficial version of saying, Mr. Chief Judge, are we ready? Timekeeper, are we ready? In that case, let the contest begin. Toastmasters and friends, welcome to this year's webinar speech contest final. We have 4 contestants, and the first of them will be Sunny Fridge with Everybody Talks. Sunny, is your microphone on?
My microphone is on.
In that case, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters and friends, Sunny Fridge with Everybody Talks.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to my webinar, Everybody Talks. Have you ever been in a meeting or watched a presentation where the speaker's words seem to get lost because their body language was all over the place? Maybe they fidgeted, avoided eye contact, or stood like a statue. I remember giving an important presentation just like that. My words were clear, my tone was confident, but my body language was full of anxiety. The audience likely missed my message entirely. Hello, if we've never met, I'm Dr. Sunny. I'm a presentation skills coach. Over the years, I have learned a lot about becoming a better communicator. I help nervous speakers manage fear to speak with confidence and ease. And today we're going to unlock 3 keys to powerful body language to ensure your message is not just heard, but felt. We'll look at facial expressions, gestures, and postures. And if you stay to the end, I have a free gift for you. Communication theorist Paul Watzlawick said, you cannot not communicate. Whether you realize it or not, everybody talks, and it begins with your body language. And that is the process of communicating non-verbally through conscious or unconscious gestures and movements. It is Paul Watzlawick who said you can't communicate, you cannot not communicate, but it was Albert Mehrabian who said that there are 3 core elements in effective face-to-face communication of our emotions: attitude and movement. And according to Mehrabian, those 3 elements account for our perception of a person. What I want to do now is ask a little trivia, so I would love it if you can participate. According to Albert Mehrabian's study, and I know some of you have heard of him, what percentage of communication is nonverbal? Put in the chat your answer. Is it A, 7%, B, 55%, C, 38%, or D, 65%? I see our contest master says D. And it coming fast and furious. Jim Barber also says 65%. Guest Karen, she says, I thought she said B. And Antoinette Trim says D. So just about everyone says D, but the answer is 55%. 55%. As a matter of fact, it is 7% your words, 38% tone of voice, and 55% body language. Wow. So it is important. Now, one more trivia. What's the most common mistake that presenters make during an online presentation? Is it A, poor eye contact, B, using too many gestures, C, not smiling enough, or D, sounding monotone? I see lots of A's and D's. Andrew Burns says A, poor eye contact. Judge Joseph says D, sounding monotone. You're all getting close. Sybil, you say A, poor eye contact. And Chief Judge David Carr says B. They are all important. But if you said A, you were right. Poor eye contact is not good. But what is good eye contact. So what I want you to do right now to have that good engagement is I want you to work with me. Take your index finger. And what I want to do, because you want in Zoom, everybody has a front row seat. So how do you do audience engagement? Well, follow me. Let's point to our webcams. And what I want you to notice as you're pointing toward your webcam is if your gaze is not eye level, it means you might want to lift your laptop just a little bit so that you will have more engagement. And if it's a little awkward staring at that light, you can stare at the first row of people. And while I'm not using this webcam right now, I got some eyes from the craft store and I put them on so that I remember to look at the camera. You can also use a little sticky. It was Janet Lang who said, "Of all things you wear, your expression is the most important." We all, as humans, have so many facial expressions of anger and sadness, of being surprised and in love. But what I want you to do today is remember when you do your presentation to smile. Number one, the audience wants to help you. They want you to succeed. And number two, it's contagious. If you're in the audience, you nod. So I want you all to nod at me to let me know you're with me. So remember, you can use smiling and good eye contact. All right, now that we've talked about facial expressions, let's talk about gestures. Those gestures that are basic are easy for you to use. You can say, "I've got one important message for you today," or "There are 3 reasons why recycling is important." Use gestures to enhance your message. And there are certain gestures you don't want to do. You don't want to point hard at your audience. Some people get defensive about that. So remember, what you want to do is use open engagement, open-handed gestures. Now that we've looked at some good gestures, take a look at some of the bad and ugly gestures and raise your hand if you've ever done any of these. Well, awareness is the first step. So if you're one of those people who put your glasses on and off or play with change in your pocket or twirl your hair, stop it. Be aware of those bad and ugly gestures. And posture, finally. Here's a good way to look at posture. To get more confidence, look straight ahead, shoulders back, feet spread shoulder width apart. It makes you comfortable and it makes you confident. But wait, there's more. Let's listen to psychologist Amy Cuddy about a power pose posture.
In our studies, if people stand like Wonder Woman for 2 minutes, their testosterone increases significantly, their cortisol drops significantly, they are more risk-taking. In other people's studies, we find that their pain threshold is higher, they think more abstractly.
So there's a lot to do with the power pose. How do you like mine? You can also get yours by setting a reminder. Finally, I want to challenge you to take one of these actions today. Smile, good eye contact, and make sure you use good gestures. And for those of you who waited around, what I have for you is a free ebook on the power of body language. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sonny. All right, everybody, we're going to give the judges a minute now to do their deliberations. I could sing the theme from Jeopardy, but I'm not going to. So feel free to ask anything you need to in the chat, but we'll have a minute's silence. Okay, that's the minute. So we will now move on to our second contestant. Our second contestant today is Andriy Smolenko with Community Power, how to set up and run a Facebook group. Andriy, is your microphone working?
Yes, it is.
Indeed it is. Toastmasters and friends, Andriy Smolenko, Community Power, how to set up and run a Facebook group.
How to set up and run Facebook group. Ladies and gentlemen, this webinar is about Facebook groups, about few simple things that you can do to create your own digital community on Facebook. And just to start, what the Facebook community is, well, it's a group, digital, online, on Facebook, where people get together to spread the love and joy about you, about your product, about your business, engage in conversations, give you some ideas. Well, it's a little bit as Toastmasters online, but on Facebook. Interesting to say, there are about 10 million active digital communities on Facebook, and one of them may be yours if you still haven't got one. Nice to know that Toastmasters International have their own Facebook group as well. Highly recommend to join. Really valuable resource for all Toastmasters. It's got 30,000 members already. Well, just want to ask you a question. Have you ever heard about Facebook? If you have, just lift your hand up. Right, we have majority of people heard about that. Are you a member of a Facebook community group? If you are, please lift your hand up so I can see that. Well, brilliant. Quite a few people already familiar with that. And would you like to learn how to create your own community group? If you are, please lift your hand up. Right, there are quite a few people already there. Some not, so stay with me, and then perhaps you'll find that's interesting. Just let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Ukrainian, living in Manchester, UK. And one day, about 6 years ago, I decided to set up a UK-Ukraine Facebook community group. Why not? To hang out with my fellow Ukrainians. So these days, it's got about 26,000 members in the group. How I did that, I'm going to share with you. Let's start with basics. How to create a Facebook community group. I've just taken a few screenshots from a mobile device, so any one of you can do it in a few easy steps. When you open mobile or computer or even a tablet, find the logo icon like that in red, groups, click on that. Next step, you click on create. Very easy. I love Facebook because it does things for us nicely and easily. I hope you're following me. Then the interesting part, you need to choose what group you want to create, whether it's the public, so the whole Facebook community would know about that, or it's the private, maybe just for you and your friends, or just few other people to chat. Well, there are a few things you can do, public or private. Pick one. And then here we go. Your Facebook group is created. The thing is about Facebook, then once it's done, you can invite people to join, you can add cover photo, add description, and create posts. It's up to you what you're going to do. The important thing is bear in mind the purpose, why you are doing that. And that is not only about you, it's about the community, about the members you're going to invite. Well, I hope you are still following me. If you are, I want to see your hands. And if you're not, please don't lift your hand up this time. By the way, I know probably I'm speaking a lot, and in a short period of time, I need to squeeze that information. However, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, And I asked Alison at the end of my webinar to read some of them. The next stage, once it's created, your own group, how would you manage that? Just in a few simple steps that I would like to share with you. But I do one post a day at least. One post a day on any subject. For example, my group, UK-Ukraine, is all about Ukrainians living in the UK. What they like, the jokes, the stories, the tips. One post a day will work magic as long as you follow that consistency. The next thing, very important, crucial, to react to your members' content. Because the difference between Facebook page and Facebook group is simple. Facebook group is where members can create their own content for everyone to see. In the Facebook page, you create the content and people who join it, they follow it. So remember, reactions, very, very important. Even just thumbs up or just saying, hi, what's a brilliant comment, that encourage your followers to continue doing what they're doing. And don't do it alone. Please don't. I've done that mistake. It took me quite a lot of time to figure out that even though it's my group, it's my baby, it's good to find like-minded people who can do it with you. And a pro tip. The pro tip in some of your posts, if you use the @everyone, it will alarm everyone in your group that you've posted. I hope that will help even some of you who already have Facebook groups use it more effectively. Well, please remember, it takes time. And enjoy. My message is, if you haven't got a Facebook group, so why not go and create one? Alison, are there any questions that in the chat that you would like to announce, please?
Yes, there is one question. Caroline is asking, how much time do you need to manage your group?
Well, actually, initially, I would say you need maybe 5 to 10 minutes a day to create a post and share that. And then if your group grows, you can invite more people to help you.
Okay. And Kia is asking, what is the most memorable mistake you've encountered?
Doing it by myself. Do it together with your friends. And back to you, Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Andriy. Thank you, everybody. We'll now wait a minute for the judges to do their deliberations. There goes our minute for deliberations. So let's move on to our third contestant, Joni Renee Laidlaw with In the End. Joni Renee, is your microphone working?
I believe it is. Can you hear me?
Certainly can. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters and friends, it shouldn't be gender specific like that. I know I'm better than that. Let us now move on to contestant number 3, Joni Renee Laidlaw, In the End. Joni Renee.
the one thing that is constant in life is change. This was what everyone was used to. We started out in person on a lectern, connecting and talking to everyone. Now, what I'm going to want for everyone to do is I'm going to ask you to put a 1 in the chat if this is how you were introduced to Toastmasters. If not, we're going to leave it blank. I want to see how many 1s come up. Ooh, I'm seeing a lot of 1s happening right now. A lot of us got introduced to the public space by being out in, get this, public. But then something happened. Slowly, things changed. And because of COVID, quite a lot of us were forced to go online. Now, I know you're going to think I'm going to ask you to put a 1 in the chat if you were introduced to online, but no, we're going to do it differently. Because here at Online Presenters and being a part of Online Presenters, I learned that there were quite a few people and clubs that were online before COVID even hit. So what I'm going to ask for you to do is for those of you who love the online space before it was, you're going to hit up the heart emojis. For those of us who got introduced to online because of COVID, for you, I'm going to ask you to do a thumbs up. Let me see how many people were online before the pandemic hit. Oh, I'm seeing a few hearts. Ah, there you go, Daniel. I'm seeing your thumbs up. Kai, I'm seeing your thumbs up as well. So some of us did get introduced to the space because of COVID, but most of Online Presenters got introduced to the space before COVID even happened. Well, as the pandemic subsided and people wanted to go back to normal, what happened was we all met. We have friends from all around the world, and we have people who we connected with, who we have important things in common with, who are now many, many miles away. So what did Toastmasters International decide to do? Well, they remixed it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Far too kind. Yeah. Ready?
Think about it.
Can I get an encore?
Are we ready for the remix? We were vibes up. We were great. We get persons who want to be in person, and persons who wanted to be online could still be a fly on the wall and be on the background behind the speaker so that they couldn't see them. That was not my idea of fun either. We wanted to be connected, to interact, to be with each other, not to be a fly on the wall on somebody's meeting who left us as an afterthought, because we believe that this is actually a space. Online serves as an area that exists, not just an afterthought to make sure that we can keep up membership. What do I propose to everyone? Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you already know where I'm headed with this, keep the secret for just a little bit longer. But I'm going to ask, how do you think we could possibly solve the problem of mediating the online space? And I'm going to ask everybody to drop their ideas for me in the chat. How can we mediate the online space? We have hybrid. We have in person, that all have rules dictated by Toastmasters International, but online sometimes seems like an afterthought. So does anybody have any suggestions, or are you ready for mine? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready for mine. Tech Master, okay, for a good suggestion. So we're ready for mine, let's go. My suggestion is very simple. My fellow Toastmasters and guests, no matter the tune, no matter the beat, no matter how you hear the music, sometimes it works to just have an online district. Think about it. By the time the in-person district director has already thought of the venue, getting equipment for online if they need it, online becomes an afterthought. Who lobbies Toastmasters International for the needs of the online space? Who puts in to make requests as it pertains to rules and guidelines for Toastmasters when it comes to the virtual space, which we've already proven we all love so much and we've been there before. So now that I have presented my version, again, no matter how we listen to the tune, it's all the same song, but it does help if we all get the chance to sing to our own rhythm. Here's what I'm going to ask. Now that I've done my presentation on this, do we have any questions or do we just want more music? Cam Monitor, do we have any questions?
Not yet.
I am seeing maybe the metaverse.
Yep.
And that would, I believe, fall in the online space as well, because any form of guidelines and rules for the online space would be better directed by those who were in the online space. So I like the suggestion of the metaverse, but I do believe social media, Clubhouse, all the other formats that we also use to meet as Toastmasters, because we do not just Zoom and Teams, could actually be included as a part of an online district.
Yes. Joni, we have two questions that come in. The first one is, a guest, Dwayne, is asking, wouldn't this take away from the main reason for public speaking?
No, because aren't we in public right now? I'm seeing all these eyes looking at me. Even though I'm at home, technically, I'm still speaking in public. And most young people are actually directed towards social media, which is composing your thoughts and speaking in public, but in private. I'll take the other question in the chat. Hope I made it clear for us that we want to be online. Back to you, our Toastmaster, our contest master.
Thank you very much, Joni. Once again, we'll give everybody 1 minute for the judges to deliberate. So back in a minute. My wrist is vibrating, which means the 1 minute is up. Don't you love smartwatches? Our fourth and final contestant today is Sherry Blake with a presentation entitled Let's Talk Self-Care. Sherry, can I confirm that your microphone is on and working?
Yes. Hold on 1 second. Oh my gosh.
Yep. To err as human, to really foul things up requires a computer. Yes, your microphone was working. So you ready to rock and roll?
No. Give me 1 second. If not, I'm not going to use the slides because they're not working. Okay. Hold on. Okay.
Cool. In that case, contestant number 4, Sherry Blake, let's talk self-care. Let's talk self-care, Sherry Blake.
Thank you so much. Let's talk self-care. Self-care is a much needed practice that allows me to put my mental, emotional, and physical well-being first. To me, self-care means taking deliberate actions to nurture and protect myself. It encompasses things that recharge and rejuvenate me, such as running, getting adequate sleep, maintaining a balanced diet, and seeking support from family, friends, or even professionals. Also, self-care involves setting healthy boundaries, avoiding toxic situations, and saying no when necessary. Self-care is a continuous process of loving yourself, setting aside time to relax and self-reflect, which leads to a happier and more fulfilling life. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 5 activities that can be effective in reducing stress and improving one's general health and well-being. Now, these unconventional methods for peeling away the layers may not be all that popular, but they've worked for me. Let's explore these activities, each providing a distinct combination of relaxation and recovery. 1, consider the therapeutic potential of a photo shoot, where moments of joy and beauty and self-expression are captured through photography, offering a powerful sense of empowerment. Now, whether you are the photographer or the subject of a photo session, it presents a chance to celebrate yourself, your loved ones, and the beauty that surrounds you. Type yes in the chat if you like to be the subject of photography. Now, if you type yes, how does it make you feel? Yes, I see Carolina, Jim Barber. So yes, a lot of us like photography and it just makes us feel special and relaxed. We're going to move on. 2, keeping your living space clean might appear unexciting, yet it plays a significant role in enhancing the mental clarity and emotional wellness. A neat and organized environment promotes a feeling of tranquility, enabling you to focus entirely on the present moment. Does a clean space make you feel joyful, happy, and having achieved a sense of accomplishment? Type in the chat yes or no. Yes. Andrew said yes. Michael Alexander, yes. Of course, yes. Exactly. A clean space after a long, hard day at work and you come home to a clean environment, it can only make you feel tranquil and calm and less stress. Okay, we're going to keep moving on. 3, create a calming atmosphere by burning candles and infusing your space with delightful fragrances. The gentle illumination from the candles can swiftly soothe the mind and elevate the mood. Who here likes to burn candles? Type yes in the chat. Yes, I see quite a few of you like to burn candles. What are some of your favorite fragrances? I love lavender. Jacqueline said no, she doesn't like to burn candles. Antoinette, no. Okay, that's fair enough. Moving along. Now, although daydreaming may seem insignificant, it's actually a beneficial practice for enhancing creativity and reducing stress. Give yourself the freedom to let your thoughts wander, delve into new ideas. Imagine your dreams and immerse yourself in imaginary worlds. Embrace daydreaming as a type of meaningful meditation. 5, lastly, empty the nest. Although the idea of an empty nest might first bring about feelings of emptiness or sorrow, an empty nest can turn into a haven of peace and harmony. Embrace this new freedom by exploring your interests, taking spontaneous trips, or cherishing the quiet moments at home. Get those adult children out of the house. Now let's settle here for a moment as I share my happy memories of when my nest became empty. It was one glorious Sunday morning when my son actually executed his departure plan. It was just his time to spread those wings. Now, initially, I thought him moving out was a bad idea, but let me tell you the little things that changed my mind. The frequent dirty bowl and spoon left in the sink overnight, which sometimes always escaped his notice. And the stench I had to inhale as I passed by his room was a toxic blend of sweaty socks and gym clothes that was overwhelming. And let's not forget about the late night conversations amongst his gaming crew at the wee hours of the morning, making bedtime feel like sleeping at a rock concert. But now that he's gone, peace reigns. Okay, let's pause here for a moment. How many of you have an empty nest? Type yes in the chat. Yes, Carolina, yes. So you all must have some grown adult children who have flown the coop, but I hope that you are trying to get back to enjoying your space before you had children. So in conclusion, these activities, as I mentioned, that were unconventional, they offer a holistic approach to stress relief. I implore you to try one of these methods or possibly a traditional one. Now to recap, indulge in a photo shoot, tidy up your space, ignite your senses with candles, unleash your imagination through daydreaming, and embrace the empty nest. Your journey to a more balanced and fulfilling life begins now. Back to you, contest chair.
Thank you very much, Sherry. All right, we'll give a minute for the judges to be taken away to their separate room.
Carolina, can you just let me know in the chat if anybody ran over time? Private message, please.
So are we sending all of the judges off to a judge's room?
We will momentarily. We can do that now. Okay. Pardon me. Just have to remember how to send myself there.
I believe that all of the judges, including David, have now gone. And so in that case, we can do the official woo and breathe deep and say congratulations to all 4 of our contestants tonight, who I believe did a terrific job. Please feel free to unmute your microphone or just show them your appreciation. Well done, each and every one of you. What a great contest here tonight. At this point, normally you would do the, let's do the chat to the contestants and tell them, find out what club they're from and what their interests are and what their favorite quote is and why they think that the quote from Abraham Lincoln, that you shouldn't believe anything you read on the internet, is their favorite quote. Whatever. We're not going to do all of that. Instead, we're going to now ask the questions that we didn't have time, many of our contestants, to ask during their speech contest. So Sunny and Andriy and Joni Renee and Sherry, if you can all unmute yourselves, and then others, if we have questions that have come up, you want to ask questions of our webinar presenters, now is your opportunity. For example, I did note that there was a question came up about how to get, and this one was for Jonah Renee, how to improve the experience for hybrid members of a club, and the suggestion was don't put the presenter behind you. The audience can turn heads, but the speaker can't see if you're behind them. I thought that was a good observation. Is that something that you would suggest?
Most definitely. I believe I was the one who typed that as a response to the questions. Yeah.
From somebody who's in a couple of hybrid clubs, we always set up so that the speaker is facing all of the audience, that is those in the room and those online. So you never have the audience online behind the speaker, you always have them in front. It makes it almost impossible to take a photo like the one that we saw Joni present, because it's logistically not possible, but it's a much better meeting that way. Who else has questions, for example, for Sunny or for Andriy or for Joni that didn't get answered?
Graham, if I may, I have a question for Dr. Sunny. And Dr. Sunny had mentioned about the ebook. I love books. Can you tell us how to download and get a copy of that book, please?
Yes, I can tell you how to do it. If you go to my website, I was looking for the QR code. If you go to the website, you will find www.sunnyfritz.com. Just scroll down and there is a way for you to get the free ebook, The Power of Body Language. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Now, Victoria has asked, Andriy used Prezi. Curious to know what technology assistants Dr. Sunny and Joni Laidlaw used.
I use Prezi as well.
I use Ecamm Live. It's for Macs.
I have to say, I loved that Ecamm Live. That was something I haven't seen used before. And I thought that was really clever. I love the way you put yourself into the middle of a full page of Brady Box screens, but you were moving and they weren't. I thought that was, really well done. So congratulations on that.
I'm
Sherry,
getting there. I'm getting
you're
there.
getting there. That's the beauty of this club. We all keep learning these experiences. Sherry, you had some technology difficulties today. Something that Sherry did, and I'm going to comment on this and then ask her to comment on it herself. Sherry said, okay, this ain't going to work. I'm not going to beat myself over the head with this. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Had you designed your presentation so if the technology failed, you could still go ahead, or did you just go through anyway?
Yeah, I mean, it was designed either way. After, Dr. Sunny showed me how to use, I had my whole slide presentation together. I think it was the fact that I had the online presenters background up. And I think that threw me off because I practiced this speech using Zoom and recorded myself. So that's why I'm like, what is going on? So I had some nice slides and, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm glad I sometimes go through these snags because it just only helps better me. So
Can I add to that? I think that was a great idea. In hindsight, if you're running out of time, I needed to go to my last slide, but I couldn't see it. I couldn't find it. And that's why I need to start giving more presentations, right, everybody? Especially BPE Joni. I need to sign up so I can practice.
Right.
Yes.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, but I, as somebody who is at times professional speaker, I have to use slides because I'm doing 45-minute presentations and ain't nobody wants to watch me for 45 minutes with nothing else to take their attention. But I also have prepared the presentations, so if they don't work, I've got ways around them. I have, for example, a snippet of The Love Boat, the theme from The Love Boat, which is an important part of one of my presentations, but I suggest that perhaps 1 out of every 4 times I try to use it, it doesn't work. So I've worked out ways to make a joke about it when it doesn't work. as online presenters, we need to be aware that these things will go wrong, usually at the worst possible moment. Other questions? Technology is noted for that. Yes, I like to think about it as being the great god Tekos, who is fully aware of the rising panic and is quite malicious in deciding when to do that. Other questions from the audience while we have a minute or two? Doesn't have to be about their presentations, can be about anything else. No, all right. Well, in that case, I'm going to.
I did see a question about how can we incorporate online. They actually did have a hybrid contest. I think the belief was that it's unfair to compare the two. And again, why I made the suggestion that I do. It's hard for, I call them the Jetsons and the Flintstones. It's hard for the Flintstones to tell the Jetsons how to run the cloud, right? Because if you ask them to stop the car in the clouds, I like your background, Danielle, they're going to tell you to use your feet and there won't be anywhere in the cloud to stop your flying car with your feet. So it's why I'm suggesting that when it comes to governance, paper people will find it very difficult to provide framework for persons who aren't paper people, and it would help to give the suggestions from those actually doing it. And I don't mind the separation of both into an online contest. I just think it's a bit unfair, in my opinion, that you have to be one or the other, because what if you want to be all of the above or a hybrid?
Yep. When districts were doing the hybrid contests all the way through to the district final, which has been the case for the last couple of years, as a hybrid proselytizer, I was the one who got called on most of the time to make sure that things were going to go according to plan. We had some contestants who were very happy about that. One of our districted clubs here in District 69, Hot Toastmasters, Hour of Talking, which is a club which meets every week, and 3 weeks out of 4, it will do nothing but table topics, and the 4th week it will do conventional speeches, which is great. They have had, because they're an online only club, that means that their area has had an online contestant in a hybrid contest every year for the last 3 or 4 years. They are now no longer able to compete. So that's a bummer. All of their international members, and some of their best members are from California or India or Taiwan, they simply can no longer, they can compete at club level, but even if they win at club level, they can no longer compete at area, division and district because of the change of rules. I guess life is tough and then you die. Trying to find a solution to this is a complex issue. I'm just looking to see if, no, we've got most of our judges back, but not all of them. We're just waiting for the last to return. Andriy, plug the club to all of our guests here.
Pardon, Graham?
Plug the club to all of our guests here. Tell them why they should come back to be members of Online Presenters.
Right, plug the club. Yes, I try to plug the club. The reason is we meet on a regular basis, and today is the special event. Say, for example, meeting next Monday at exactly the same time will be slightly different. We'll have presenters with prepared speeches, then table topics and evaluations. I love them. And we invite guest speakers as well from time to time with really interesting webinars and some points to discuss. I love online presenters. That's why I joined this club. And the interesting thing about us, well, from time to time, we have a tip of the day where members share their experience with a particular expertise they're good at. It could be technical, or it could be just a life expertise as well. So overall, next Monday, the same time, I'm waiting for you.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Andriy. Thank you for that plug for the club. I see that our chief judge is back. We have some results to announce. So I will now hand control of the meeting to the chief judge. Here he is, the one, the only. Don't swoon, he's only human. And I hope, contestants, you have all got your bribes in for the announcement of the results. Here is David Carr.
Thank you, Graham. Yes, we have come to the recognition and the announcement of the winners. So, some recognition first. We do want to acknowledge our speakers, all of our contestants. Now, this is in order of appearance. We're not announcing the winners of anything just yet, but thank you for competing. Sunny Fridge, yay! Thank you for competing also. Andriy Smolenko, wow! Thank you for competing. Johnny Renee Laidlaw. And thank you for competing, Sherry Blake. We do also have our non-anonymous judges in the meeting. So thank you so much for helping us out. Michael Alexander, Christine Campbell, Joseph Essler, and Kia Rainey also helped out with a very difficult job of ranking very good speeches that were all good in their own different ways. So, start to move on. Drum roll, please, starting. And in third place, we have Sherry Blake. In second place, we have Andriy Smolenko. And in first place, we have Sunny Fridge. And I do need to announce that we did have a disqualification because of time. We do a little process of elimination. You might be able to figure out who got disqualified because of time. Sometimes doing the Q&A is a little bit dangerous when we want to stay within time. And so here are our three winners. This is on screen partly so we can screenshot it and share it widely. That we will do a group photo in just a moment as well. And that was my reminder here that we should do a group photo highlighting our three winners.
Wow.
Let's get Sherry in
Thank
there.
you, Johnny.
All right. Smile for the camera, everybody. Well, we will go back and grab a screenshot of that later. Thank you all for competing and for showing us the best of the best of the best tonight. Let's say, and maybe we can, I guess, release the screenshot or the spotlighting. Let's see. Let's go back. Okay. Very cool.
Thank you.
And we did want to reserve time at the end because we're breaking all the rules, and that's half the fun of this contest, to invite our judges. If there's any particular feedback that they'd like to give, just informal feedback to the speakers. Feel free to just unmute and give any feedback you might like to give.
Can I go first?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you all for having me. This was a very interesting setup because this is my first time having a speech contest virtually. So it was a very exciting experience. But I'm going to address each contestant. I just have two things I want to say. Dr. Sunny, you really took me back to How to Be a Millionaire. I had to think of the name of the show, but that was very, very engaging. What kind of threw me off was the speed of the slides. The slides were great, but it was very hard to keep up with the slides. So maybe having fewer slides would maybe not get us lost, or maybe me lost.
Yes,
But great job.
thank you.
Andriy, you made setting up a Facebook group very easy. The screenshots of the cell phone, I am not tech savvy, so that made it very, very easy. I would say I would definitely want to hear about the hiccups you ran into, because maybe setting up the Facebook group, maybe that's something you could search online, but your personal experience of things that you ran into would have probably been a more impactful. But again, you made it very easy to follow along. Johnny, the music was great. It did distract me because I got lost because I was getting into the music. I did not realize where you were going until your suggestion or your call to action. But I love the energy. I love the idea of the music, but it lost me a little bit. And finally, Sherry, the topic of self-care is so relevant today. So that was a really good topic. I would say the listing of facts, it was a bit overwhelming, but the stories that you placed in the speech about the dirty bowl in the sink and your son playing video games sounding like a rock band, those kind of connected me more with your story than the simple facts of why you should do self-care. But overall, it was great speeches, everyone. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Kia. And by the way, don't feel obligated to give feedback to every single speaker. If you just want to give a couple of thoughts about something that really jumped out at you, that's fine too. Michael?
Yeah, let me talk about to a couple people here quickly. Sonny, I love your smile. I love your energy. But there were a couple places where your framing of yourself were a problem. And particularly you started off with your body speaks and we could see up to your shoulders. So we couldn't see your body. I also would like to suggest to you that you have a tendency to end your sentences with a rise rather than a drop, which almost makes some of them sound like a question. And leaves me feeling just a little bit unfulfilled.
Wow.
But generally very nice, but sometimes I had a time for figuring out where you were in the image. That was the other framing issue. Andriy, nice, interesting stuff you did, but you kept cutting yourself off with your images. So I think you want to move a little bit more to the side so you've got room for them. And I realize that means that you're not always centered, but that affected me. Sherry, I liked, yours was a vanilla speech. It didn't hit the energy saying through, but I thought it was a nice, clean, well-delivered, straightforward energy speech. But when you read through the responses that were down the list, you gave me credit for a yes answer when I gave you a no answer. So you specifically called me out wrong. I noticed that probably nobody else did. And then lastly, Jenny, I found the music, Joni, I'm sorry. I found the music to be just a little bit overwhelming. It kept breaking me up. And I realized that Kurt Weill, who wrote Three Penny Opera, liked to use music to break up the attention. But to me, it was a little bit much.
Okay. Joseph, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, David. So many great points have already been made. I can only echo what both Kia and Michael have already said. And so I'm going to say different things, although I have some similar feelings with what they just said. First of all, we had Sonny, and just that energy was so great. So many facts were being thrown out there. It seemed like what you probably did to, take you have doctor, you did a dissertation. It really felt like that. Something that I would benefit from, because I like to geek out on this. I love that. I want to go look up this information. Maybe you could add that for people like me. I saw that at least with the music, which I'll get to in a moment, for what Joni did. Like, she had what was remixed, who did it, the credit for that. Maybe you could do that with some of your research. I would be fat because I've seen different studies here. I love that. And I'm sure you do a really great job of that. And then the next contestant, Mr. Smolenko, we have the how to set up and run a Facebook group. And that's something that I've messed around with before too. And you could have all these hiccups with that. I think you covered a lot of the information so well. And I could easily follow along. And what I'm thinking for some people who might not be as tech savvy, like what I just said, maybe you could have some links that show where people can get more information and exactly where you're setting this stuff up. Because there were a lot of crop screenshots. So people are maybe more technical, like myself or David, we could figure that out. But people are less tech savvy and might go to next level if they could see exactly where they need to go on Facebook, as opposed to it just being cropped. And so that's just by virtue of, you're obviously some kind of a geek, and you just get it, and geeks like me can, but other people who are more newbies could benefit from that. Next, Joni, I can only say again, I loved all the music and how you gave the credits. And something else that I think is underappreciated with this is how you spoke in real time. That was really key. It seemed like there was a spontaneity to how you were speaking, Joni, especially where you said you were thinking about this one part where you said online exists as a space, and I'm paraphrasing, a space in and of itself, not just an afterthought. And you did it that way where it sounded like you were saying it almost like an actor would do. And that's the way to go. And I've studied some of this stuff as far as like dramatic arts. So I was really impressed by how you did that. It was very thought-provoking. Something that I would suggest, getting back to the technical side of things with the online district, I would like to see some kind of a chart, how you would identify and delineate the club listings. Because if we're not going to be doing it by geography, how would we do it online? Would it maybe be based on genre? You have comedy, you have more professional clubs, you have some other ones that are based on some other kind of interest. How will you separate the divisions, for example, or will it be just arbitrary? I think there could be an opportunity to do that where it'd be more meaningful, where like-minded clubs are gathered together. It's just a thought to throw out there, right? But I think that's going to be something that TI is going to have to seriously consider in the future as online becomes more and more of a reality for Toastmasters across the world. Now, last we have here Sherry, and it's one of those things where I think the slide's not working. I've had that happen to me. I was inspired by how you handled that whole situation. We would maybe not have known, because how you did all your gestures, the numbers, it was so well organized. It was exemplary. I've had that happen to me where my slides didn't work. I had it all set up, ready to go before giving the presentation at my Toastmasters Club, and for whatever reason, it stopped working. And it happens, right? It can even happen in a contest. And look at you, you were one of the winners, right? And so that's the way to act, right? You didn't let it phase you. So I really appreciate that, along with all your imagery, the bowl in the sink, that I could just smell those socks, your son's socks, and then the gaming for the wee hours. Highly specific details, the devil's in the details. And so all of that was absolutely fantastic. I suppose perhaps what you could consider doing is, because I was trying to follow along and you gave the wonderful summary at the end, maybe what you could do is give like a brief summary, maybe midway through on what you already discussed, and then I'll be crystal clear on what you had already covered. But that's just more of a minor type of a thing. You did a really great job, and I'm just trying to give you everybody here some constructive. I was so pleased with the entire contest, and that's why David keeps me coming back here. Thank you so much. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Joseph. We are running a little bit past our normal start time. I mean, the contest is, I think, probably always going to stretch the boundaries of that. If we'd had 2 more contestants, which we could have, if they didn't have schedule conflicts, we'd definitely be going closer to 9:30 probably. Christine, would you like to give a few thoughts? You're still muted.
Okay, I'm back. David, you got me out. I couldn't get back on because you locked me out. So I came back on my cell phone. I thought I was pretty tricky. So anyway, I don't know who won. If you can tell me, I have plenty of notes on everybody. So who was first, second, and third? And then I can.
It wound up being first place Sonny, second place Andriy, and third place Sherry with a disqualification for time.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for letting me know. On everybody, I'm just going to do some overall comparisons. Everybody used notes. Everybody was fabulous, by the way. Everyone was using notes except Sherry. She was right in that camera every time. Everybody else I could see kind of looking in different directions, trying to do it. Everyone did fabulous. I'm just going to go briefly on each speaker. Sonny, I just wanted to say I loved your presentation, the way you were surprising with your frame and your picture everywhere. There's more notes that others mentioned, but I think it would have been perfect if it could have been paced out a little bit. Maybe take something out just so there's more pacing so it can be understood. It was just excellent, though. I sure do appreciate it. With Andriy, excellent. There was some comments. Of course, the slides are running over on the side of your face, but there was one thing I wanted to point out nobody did. The spelling on one of your slides, remember, it's spelled R-E-M-E-B-E-R, where it should have an extra M in there. So I just wanted you to know that if you were going to duplicate this anywhere. Again, an excellent, again, I'll just be duplicating everybody. Excellent on your topic. Everyone can learn that. It was engaging. On Joni, it was definitely, you were engaged with the audience from the beginning. And here was what was interesting is you had the wonderful pacing and stuff, and I heard different parts about the music, but to me, it jolted me. It got me off of what you were saying because it was loud. I think if it was softer, it'd be smooth, and then we could hear your voice. I know that you were speaking over the music and we couldn't hear you on one of them. And that was the only thing. It was very creative. And I thought that was excellent. And Sherry, just like our last judge, we didn't know you didn't have slides, and it was an oops. You did that perfectly and being very professional about jumping on. And it is one thing I wanted to point out is you were very organized. You had your 5 points. You and the other judges had some valid points too, but you were very organized. You let the audience know ahead of time what you were going to do, and you were pacing yourself to make sure everything was covered and not rushed. So I wanted to say that, and your eyes were right on that camera the whole time. So with that, those are the notes. All the judges made some wonderful comments. You guys were great, and thanks for letting me share.
Great. Thank you so much. And we always ask for some feedback at the end from guests at our meetings. We'd love to hear anybody who would like to unmute and give us a little bit of feedback. Please turn your camera on. That'll be our signal that we can pick on you or call on you. Appreciate you.
David, real quick, for this being an advanced club, one, remind me, please, do you have to be a member of another club? And 2, what are the qualifications you need to have? Okay, that's great, Joni. Thanks.
And so, and Joni's shaking her head. People are supposed to have given What do we say? I forget. I think you were supposed to
Level
give
one
these-
and level
two.
Sunny wants to play it. Sunny, do you have it queued? Can we play it now?
I don't have it queued, but if you have experience, you have to already, let's see, in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. If you have substantial relevant presentation experience, we welcome you to apply for membership after you demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by the members of our club. I'm going down. Club, not
All right,
club.
well done.
Yeah.
And basically
usually
that
don't turn
last
anyone
little bit
away.
is an intentional loophole, because we've had people who've come to us, they have a ton of professional presentation experience, or they're teaching online. They haven't been in Toastmasters before. And so there's a loophole to allow people to kind of test out and just give a speech demonstrating that they know what they're doing, and we will allow them into the club. But most members have come to us actually having a lot of Toastmasters experience, but they want a different experience that this club offers, and that's what we try and do. Carol, did you have a few thoughts you can share with us?
Yes, I was happy. I'm happy for that question that Judge Joseph asked. And there's an audience here in my background. We're just discussing how to be a member of this club, but I really enjoyed this evening's session, and the feedback from the judges I've never heard about before. And just to hear where they can improve, I think this is what I would want to do. And in terms of getting this for myself and improve with my public speaking. So definitely I'll visit again. I saw the link now in the group. I'm going to grab that.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite, Johnny.
Anybody else? See Dwayne, Stephanie, Sybil, Verona.
Yeah, good night. I'm sorry, I'm not able to come on camera right now. I was on before, but I thoroughly enjoyed the presentations, and I am learning. I'm actually learning of some of the tools that were used to deliver the presentations, and also how you go about delivering a webinar where you have questions being thrown at you, and you're still required to be within that 5 to 7 minute marker. So learning, how to navigate those terrains. So thank you very much for having me, and I thoroughly enjoyed the presentations, and all the best to everyone who participated.
Yeah, we should acknowledge that we're setting people up with a really unreasonable challenge, which is to take a webinar, but a webinar is usually a 20-minute, half hour, sometimes an hour session. Squeeze it down into 7 minutes. But that's not that different from saying the International Speech Contest is basically a keynote speech squeezed down to 7 minutes. Keynote speech is usually a little bit longer than 7 minutes because the hosts have flown you out to this location, and they want to make sure that they get their money's worth. But anybody else want to give us a little bit of feedback? All right. Well, we're gonna let's see. We were still recording. I'm going to stop the recording.